Hello, everyone. Welcome to Legal Connect. Welcome to the space. Welcome to a brand new video. I know it has been a while. The summer holiday, or rather the school holiday, has been quite stressful and busy. Had to take the family to Europe to enjoy the heat wave over there, and I was in a terrain where I couldn't just manage to post anything. However, we are back to the norm. We're back to analyzing on this space issues affecting Nigeria and Nigerians, and there has been a lot of headline news, and it pains me that I couldn't just manage to post anything from the terrain that I was located. However, I had a fabulous time in the mountains, and also family had a fabulous time. But we're back to business. We're back to discussing the affairs of Nigeria and the problem that we keep experiencing in all manner and all areas of governance. As the nation awaits the verdict or the decision of the tribunal, the election tribunal, I just wanted to digress a little bit, because we all look to the federal government as the problem of Nigeria. But the Nigerian problem is endemic. I want to look at not a new perspective, but a perspective that people don't actually pay serious cognizance to. They don't pay serious attention to. That is what I want to look at today. That is the state governors as hindrances, as a body hindering the development of Nigerians. Before we go into today's episode, I just want to say that in order to be a part of the space, I will encourage you to hit the subscribe button. Click that subscribe button to be part of this space, and also hit the notification bell to be notified as and when new materials, new videos are posted on this space. It's good to be back, and it has been a slow start, but hopefully we will pick the momentum and continue. The aspect I wanted to look at today is an area that we don't really pay much attention to. We know it exists, but we don't really pay much attention to this area. And that is the case of the state governors. Because I, in my opinion, believe that the state governors have done worse than the federal government. And I wanted to look at the problem facing the local governor councils in Nigeria. Because according to the Nigerian Constitution, there are three arms of government, or in terms of a federation now, not the federal character. I'm talking about as a federation, you have the federal government, which comprises of the executive, the legislators, and the judiciary. And then you have the state governors, or the state governance, which comprises of the executive, the legislators, and the judiciary. And then you have the local government authority, which is provided for in the Constitution. And if you look at Section 7 of the Constitution, Section 7 basically states, and I read, the system of local government by democratically elected local government councils is under this constitution guarantee and accordingly the government of every state shall, subject to section 8 of this constitution, ensure they are existent under a law which provide for the establishment, structure, composition, finance and functions of such councils. So the provisions in the constitution is for there to be a structured local government in existence in every state. But what do we experience today? We experience a situation where basically the local government structure is just in name only. There are no establishments, there are no functioning local government authority in the country, and the state governor basically taking the funds allocated to this area of governance. And the state governor, they talked about development, they talked about bringing the people out of poverty. But how do you do that without a functioning local authority? Because governance starts from the grassroots. No matter how you paint it, governance starts from the grassroots, from the myopic community down to the larger government state, and then to a bigger and much wider federal character. But the state governors truncates this structure, violates the provisions of the constitution, because the constitution provides for the functions that's supposed to be brought by the local authority. Let's see what some of the functions are. If you look at the first schedule of the constitution, you see that each local government area was specifically named in the constitution. That is to emphasize the importance of a local authority. The constitution believes that development starts from the local authority. That is why it took the pain at the first schedule to list all the names of the local authority, the 744 according to the constitution. And I understand that number has increased, but the constitution has not been amended to cater for the over 744. But the constitution took it upon itself to individually name every local authority. And then if you move to Schedule 4 of the constitution, it lists the functions of the local government council. And it says the main function of the local government council are as follows: the consideration and the making of recommendation to a state commission on economic planning or any similar body on the economic development of the state, particularly insofar as the area of authority of the council and of the state are affected, and proposals made by the said commission or body. Collection of rates, radio and television licenses, establishment and maintenance of cemeteries, burial grounds, homes for the destitute or infirm, licensing of bicycles, trucks other than mechanical propelled trucks, canoes, wheelbarrows and carts, establishment, maintenance and regulation of slaughterhouses, slaughter slabs, market, motor parks and public convenience, construction and maintenance of road, street light, drains and other public highways, park, garden, open space and such public facilities as may be prescribed from time to time by the House of Assembly of a state, naming of roads and streets and numbering of houses, provisions and maintenance of public convenience, sewage and refuge disposal, registration of all births, deaths and marriages, assessment of privately owned houses or tenements for the purpose of levying such rate as may be prescribed by the House of Assembly of State, and control and regulation of outdoor advertising and hoarding, movement and keeping of pets of all description, shops and kiosks, restaurants, bakeries, and other places for sales of food to the public, laundries, and licensing, regulation, and control of sales of liquor. The functions of a local government council shall include participation of such council in the government of a state as respects the following matters: the provision and maintenance of primary, adult, and vocational education, the development of agriculture and natural resources other than the exploitation of minerals, the provision and maintenance of health service, and such other function as may be conferred on a local government council by the House of Assembly of a state. So basically, those are the functions of the local authority. And if a state governor is carrying out these functions, they are basically breaching the functions of other government bodies. That is not their function, especially the ones that has to do with education. Those are the functions of the local authority. And there is huge benefit of having a functional local government council, because they are closer to the people compared to the state. And the way the federal government is far off from the people, and then needed a state governor to be more closer to the people, that is the same relationship between a state and a local government council. And I don't quite understand why a government that is there to help the people will want a non-functioning local government council. If such governor comes out to say that I want to help the people and don't have a functioning local government council, then that is a huge lie. Because the economic planning of a community or a local government authority is to be effective through the collaboration of the state commissioner or the state commission and the local government chairman. So as I said, the state governor cannot take over the functions of the local authority, and they cannot deceive us that they are here to help the people by basically fundamentally in breach of the constitution, all because they want to keep the allocation, the financial allocation being given to the local authority. Let's take, for instance, a case study whereby the Edo State Governor, Governor Obaseki, who suspended, or rather the tenure of the formerly elected local government councillors, ended the chairman or chairpersons, to be gender neutral, the chairpersons, their tenure ended in 2020. But then the Governor Godwin Obaseki, decided that he was not going to conduct any election. Rather, he was going to appoint caretakers, which first of all is a breach of the constitution. Because if you go to section 1 of the constitution, it states, this constitution is supreme and its provision shall have binding force on the authorities and persons throughout the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And subsection 2, that's section 1 subsection 2, states the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall not be governed, nor shall any person or group of persons take control of the government of Nigeria or any part thereof, except in accordance with the provision of the constitution. If any other law is inconsistent with the provisions of this constitution shall prevail, and that other law shall, to the extent of the inconsistency, be void. So if you look at the provisions of the constitution and apply to the action of Governor Obaseki of Edo State, you see that he's basically hijacked, just like what we're talking about that has just happened in Niger. He's basically hijacked the functions of government by installing people that have not been democratically elected. That is a coup in itself, because there is nowhere within the constitution where it states that the governor has power to appoint local authority chairpersons. Rather, they are brought into power by or through a democratic process, through election. But he has installed there on this occasion caretakers, and these are people that he handpicked, definitely people that are going to do his bidding, people that he can manipulate. And the state assembly are quiet, allowing the governor to carry out or to continue with this dysfunctional practice, a practice that is not constitutional. If you go through the local government communities, you see how dilapidated, how dysfunctional, and how run down the system is. There is no adequate provision of amenities. We're talking about the sharing of 8,000 naira to indigents. How do you locate these people when there is a non-functional local authority? And if you look at even the constitution, if you go to the 4th schedule where it talked about the registration of birth, death, and then if you look at the provisions of the 4th schedule, you see how structured the local government council ought to be. There are provisions for the collection of radio and television licenses. There are the provisions of maintenance of cemeteries, burial grounds, and homes for the destitute and infirmed. But you see, you go to the community, none of this is in existence, and the state governor is stating that he wants to help the people. How do you help the people when you are destroying the fabric of a structured thought system that were meant to reach out to the less privileged, to the less of the less in the community? You drive around, these are the governors now, they drive around with sirens, a long convoy, causing problem for the people. There was a video I recently saw where the road was short for the state governor convoy to go through. The road was basically short, everybody on a standstill. What is the benefit of all this? What is the benefit of all? During election, the state governor mingles with the community, goes to visit the community with a small entourage or a small supporters. But when they get into office, they have this long convoy of vehicles. They don't walk freely on the street. They disrupt the functioning of the day-to-day activities with their noise, with their polluting vehicles. If you look at the Schedule 4, you see how organized, if every letter of these provisions are implemented, how organized the local government council ought to be. The local government are not independent. There are checkmates provisions within the constitution for them to be for checkmates to be carried out, for them to be for there to be an oversight of their functions. But the paramount or the most important thing there is that there is communication, there is closeness to the people. that the people feel they are part of the government. The people feel valued. That is the whole essence of local government council. That the people are touched right at the grassroots. But when you take out that system, how do you then help the people? I think that the people should push their torchlight towards the state governors, because the state governors cries that the federal government is the problem of Nigeria. But I beg to differentiate from what they've said. I bear the difference. I don't agree with that proposition that the federal government is our problem. The federal government has its own blame. That is no doubt. The federal government has its own blame, but the state governors are worse than the federal government, because the federal government is just one person with ministers. But the state governors are 36 plus the federal capital territory. These 36 persons, these 36 governors are causing huge problem in Nigeria. They're supposed to provide a structure where people feels involved, people feels noted, people feel seen, people are reached out. But these 36 governors have caused so much problem for the people compared to what the federal government has done. They've ignored court orders. They've disregarded the constitution. How can a society function when the law is disregarded? Officers, authorities, and departments of government are supposed to abide by the law, bluntly disregard the law, does the opposite of the law, disregard court orders, does the opposite of court orders, and we want a better Nigeria. We are just living in a dreamland. And the worst of all, the federal government, rather than put its house in place, are blaming or accusing other countries' leadership of taking power by force, or being disregarding a constitutionally structured or elected government. But that is what is happening in this country. The state government disregard the provisions of the constitution to have an elected local government council, and also to have a functioning local government council that has its finance assured. You get allocation of 300 million or 300 billion naira. The state governor takes 100 billion. The state governor takes a chunk of that allocation, takes upon itself the functions of the local government council. And you want to have a country that abide by the rule of law, when the governors, the functions of government, deliberately disregards the functions of government. There are structured, talked about by the constitution, such as primary, adult and vocational education. These are the functions of local authority. These are the functions of local authority. I had a friend that told me recently that they wanted to donate materials to some schools, and the school asked them to get an approval from the State Ministry of Education. What does that have to do with the State Ministry of Education? in line with the provisions of the Constitution, that the school will not accept those charitable donations until my friend goes to the Ministry of Education and get a letter of approval telling the school that they can accept such charitable donations. Is that not appalling? That the school lacks amenities, the school lacks provisions, and then you see people that have taken pain of putting together funds to support this local school, but the school refused to accept it because they know the implication that if they accept it without the approval of the Ministry of Education, they are going to pay a huge penalty for accepting such charitable donations. So it is surprising, it is really surprising how dysfunctional the structure of government is, not just at the very top at the federal level, where the National Assembly's motto is take a bow and go. You've been asked to scrutinize ministers. You've been asked, you even paid to have this section where you are supposed to scrutinize, you're supposed to question, because they have been in government. So you mean that the 4 years, 8 years, or number of years that they've been in government, they've never heard everything has been perfect? So what's the point of scrutinizing, scrutiny of the ministerialists? What's the point of having them before you if all you tell them is take a bow and go? It was just laughable watching that unfold. That the legislatures or the National Assembly are supposed to be an oversight of the executive, just laughing, let the poor breathe, mocking the citizens by telling prospective nominees, rather than ask them tough questions, telling them to take a bow and go. And then you come down to the state governance. The state assembly basically is non-functional, because if they allow the governors to be doing what they are doing to the local government council, then they are not functioning. They are not doing the job or the functions prescribed by the Constitution, because that is an impeachable offense for you to choke and strangle the life out of the local government council, absorbing the functions into your own responsibility. That is a fundamental breach of the Constitution, and that should be an impeachable offense. But what does the National Assembly do? They turn their eyes to the other side and actually rubber stamping these breaches by the state governors. And then you move to the local government council, even the ones there. All they do is just to go and collect money. No oversight of their workers. They are appointed by the governor. So basically they are just there to do the bidding for the state governor. There is no way Nigeria will function as a country if all this continues. Peter Obi is not going to be the savior. Not until every Nigerian are ready for the change. One person cannot make that change, because they basically disregarding the order of the court. The federal government disregard the order of the court. The state governments disregard the order of the court. You took out a Bauer. Today, no one knows what offense he's committed, and you're holding him without taking into consideration the rule of law. His right as a Nigerian. We're not saying don't prosecute him if he has committed an offense or committed a crime, but you should be able to tell Nigerians what crime is committed. They took Emefiele, after how many months, took Emefiele to court to charge him for possession of illegal arm. Tell me which of the men and women in government that doesn't have illegal arms. Well, I hope you've had a good time. This is what I wanted to talk about today, and I will ask that you touch that subscribe button, hit that notification bell in order to be notified of new uploads. We are here now. The school holidays are over, and now back to the normal schedule of life. So we hope to be bringing you regular videos, regular podcasts concerning Nigeria and Nigerians, things affecting Nigeria and Nigerians. I hope to see you soon. Take care now, and bye-bye.